Well, welcome everybody at the Conscious Life Expo here in LAX Hilton 2025. I'm Tony Sweet.
And I'm Bonnie Burkert.
And today we're going to be interviewing an amazing woman that took a rowboat all the way from Australia. Can you believe it? She is a psychic and a medium. Channeler. And we have Rebecca Dawson here. And Rebecca, welcome to the 2025 Conscious Life Expo.
It's your first expo here. So it's really, it's exciting. And it's just such an incredible event of the community. Definitely from the Southern California area, but really all over the world. You'll be meeting people from all over the world. Excited. Just like yourself, here you are. And Rebecca will be doing workshops also, so you should be sure to follow her. Tell us your website as well.
Just my name, RebeccaDawson.com.
Yeah, it's so easy.
How do you get that? Usually nowadays you can't without adding a bunch of different. Yeah. Well, I'm excited to always talk to a psychic because there's psychics usually come from a family passed down generations of psychics. Is that true with you, or was this kind of a surprise when you started finding your gift?
No, it was really a bit of a surprise. Well, I think it was more of a surprise to my family than it was to me. Because I really kind of, always had an ability to see energies and feel things that people could feel, and had a lot of interesting experiences when I was young. So it was really, I think, my family, and particularly my parents, kind of having to adjust to how I was, which they so graciously did so, and I'm very grateful because we were originally Catholic. So there was a lot of bending and expansion of beliefs to be able to accommodate what I was experiencing.
Wonderful. And how old were you when this all started coming through and this was apparent? I mean, it's probably been your whole life. But at what point did you have to reveal it to your parents? It's like, this isn't just me talking to imaginary friends. This is something else.
Well, I think it was always there. So the telepathy was always there. And I think that was very apparent very early. I'd be able to know what my mother was going to say and that kind of thing. But really, I think starting to see relatives and friends who'd passed away, that was kind of 7, 8, 9 years old, seeing energy fields. And I was a medical intuitive for a while, so I could see into the body quite easily. The channeling didn't start till I was about 18.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that just changed everything. I
bet. I mean, those are hard years anyway as teenagers to go through what you went through. I had a friend that is gay, and he was saying it was harder for him to come out as a psychic than it was to become gay because a lot of people see it as, especially in the religious areas, like demons and negative energy. And I was curious, when did your family finally feel comfortable with you as a psychic? Because to me, religion and being a psychic is very connected, except the religious word.
Right. It's spiritual.
Yeah.
Right.
It's very spiritual, and it's prophets, where, in the Bible, there is a lot of prophets. So when did they come to terms, and when did you come to terms with that?
Well, that's such a great question. I think my parents were always very supportive of me, but the era that I kind of went through all of this in, it wasn't like now. I mean, this is a dream, to be able to come to something like this. And, Australia, I come from a pretty small city in Australia, and there just wasn't a lot of that around. So it was really a case of having to keep things very quiet. And I learned that pretty quickly with friends at high school, Catholic school, that wasn't a good thing to talk about. And really, even after I moved into the channeling, which was a spontaneous event, it was really just a family and friends situation for many years. And I really didn't come out, as you say, probably till about 2015.
Oh,
last year. So it's doing this for 30 years. And just in very small circles. I had a community within Perth, but didn't feel the internal expansion for that until around 2015, 2016, even though we'd written books before then, and we'd been talking about the shift into 5D from as early as the late 2000 and onwards, 1999.
Yeah, sure.
And I used to think, gosh, I don't feel great about myself with what I'm doing because I'm not really out there. At the same time, I felt, well, when it's time for that, that will happen naturally and organically. Okay. And it has.
And I bet when you started helping people is when you really started feeling what that gift was about. Because when you have a gift, sometimes you don't know what to do with it. And you're like, what was the purpose? But when you start, giving people readings and finding, connection with their loved ones that have passed, I'm sure that was kind of very rewarding for you, I'm sure.
It was, but I feel that, especially because I started so young, I think for the first few years, and I'm sure a lot of people could relate to this, because I didn't want to sort of be commercial, and I was studying architecture, so it wasn't really something that was my... So it wasn't really my game plan. So when I discovered that, what I was offering people was really effective and quite powerful, I started to have the experience of a lot of people coming to me. But I could see that people were sort of starting to see me in a way where somehow I was, elevated or had this special gift, or I could, heal all their problems. And I could see that very quickly. And I decided pretty early that if I was going to go down that route at that age, I probably wasn't going to become the person that I wanted to be. Because it's so easy to curate an ego when you have abilities. And people will put you in that position, even if you don't necessarily want to go there.
Right. And in some ways it's required because, just like what you're doing right now, talking to us, letting people know about what you do. So, to a certain extent, you have to put on a show.
Well, I think you have to be solid in who you are and what you do. But I also think that there can be a great temptation to see yourself as the answer, rather than to trying to be a person who's always deepening their own experience into truth. And I'm certainly always deepening my own experience into truth. I certainly don't think I have all the answers. That's for sure.
But that's actually refreshing, because we were talking about that. We were telling Noah, our amazing intern, that some psychics, if they tell you that they're the only way for their knowledge to get you to the next level or to get you a job, it's probably not the psychic for you, because everybody has free will.
Right.
And I think it's our responsibility to have guidance, but using that guidance to better our life, not to be the answer for our life.
Absolutely. And we're very much, me and the team of masters, we're very much about giving people the ability to drop into their own sovereignty so that they can access all of this. Yes, I have developed skills to be able to show that this is possible, but I also believe it's every human's capacity and their birthright to be able to access wisdom. So that's what we help people with, getting into that space.
One of the things that I saw on your site was, and what you just mentioned, is being a medical intuitive. And I don't know if this is a book or one of the points you make is the new body. So I'm very, very interested in that and would love to know what that is. And I'm a big believer.
Well, actually, our first book that came out back in, I think it's the content for that started coming in 2010, was really talking about the shift into fifth dimensionality and what that means for us. And physically, that means that there are capacities within the body that start to come online. Strands and aspects of DNA that haven't been dormant start to come online. They start to attune to new vibrations. But also the way in which the body functions, how energy is used as source to the body and cells. The nervous system, all of that has been shifting and changing. So there's some of the things we've been talking about for many years. And at the moment, we're actually doing a 4-week series. It's started already, called The New Body, where we're being introduced to new systems of functionality the masters are talking about. Because as you have probably heard from many people, lots of people are going through different symptoms. What does this mean? Why is this happening? And if you have a framework for, we're shifting from this to this, it's a little bit more comfortable, that transition. Okay? We're not trying to stick to how we used to feel, moving into a different way of feeling.
I just feel like it's so helpful to even realize that if you're feeling certain symptoms, it's evolution. It doesn't have to be the end or like this is your new normal. It's like things are moving and shifting. And so that's it gives me hope. when I hear about this. And then it also gives me motivation to try to do some practices, drink more water, walk in nature, get that fresh air, sunshine, yoga practices, various yoga practices, and calming, an understanding of the nervous system. So it feels like you can do something, and not just be, well, hey, this is what's either age, it's over, or ascension, and it's over, So it's like I'm still driving the car.
I love that comment. And I think one of the things in what you just said there that I think is really important is that all of our conditioning and all of the systems that we have set up on the planet are designed to get us to want to move towards stability. So I want my body to be stable. I want things to stay like this. I want things to be in a place where I can control it and it's predictable. But because we're, in essence, creators, not stabilizers necessarily, all of these changes are getting us used to that fluidity of transformation. And when you're in transformation, you are changing what you're doing. And when you're changing what you're doing, you're being spontaneous and you're doing new things. And it's that's positioning us now as creators. So all the discomforts in our body are shifting us to do new things.
The only constant is change.
That's right. I have a question about the medical intuitive side, since we're talking about that. With the environment that we live in, stress, pollution, toxins in our foods, as a medical intuitive, there's a progression of, just aging, arthritis and hereditary from my family, or the food that I eat have caused the environment to change my body. As a medical intuitive, do you see the difference from natural to environmental, or cancer that was from one or the other? Can you tell the difference of where that's coming from?
Or causality?
Yeah.
Well, in what we do, we try not to look at the causality too much, because once we look at causality, people then get into a belief around that, and then it's difficult for them to resolve it.
Got it.
So what we really do is look at what's going on in you at this time that you can evolve beyond it.
I like that.
So we really get into what's happening in your life. Where are you? What is this serving you with? What is this for? And once you've got the nugget, then do you still need to have the condition to elicit that awareness?
Because I think, if you only were kind of focusing on the causality, that puts a negative into the universe. Versus like it was this, instead of going, okay, I'm going to give a positive answer, like we're going to fix it, we're going to heal it.
It's a story also, right? It's being, you don't want to get stuck into a story, right? Like, oh, well, this is happening because of the stress I had back in 1992.
Yeah.
And then you start thinking about 1992.
That's great.
Right.
I love that.
That's a big aha. Rebecca, you were definitely giving me many ahas. This is happening at a Saturday morning, very early in the day, and so many ahas are already happening.
Well, it's just because my husband's actually a researcher, so these causes, are we looking at finding the cures? What's in between that is the person's experience.
Oh my God, there's so much vibrational healing. I mean, there's so much potential in it, and I feel like people are getting more open to it all the time. I mean, I'd say the patients are. I don't know if the medical establishments are yet. Working on that.
Heading there.
Yeah, right. We're getting a 50-50 sign out in the audience. On that.
Well, with what you're doing, you deal with somebody one-on-one. If you see a lot of can't ever say, it's like cinema. Do you try to remove the stress? Like you said, that's causality. But how do you get somebody's mindset to change through your work? Because to me, that's a lot of what causes the issues. Because you can say, stop stressing, look at the positive. But if somebody's sick with cancer or worried about, my mother, my grandmother, my great-grandmother all died of breast cancer, how do you change the mindset through your work?
I think the greatest gift that we can offer people is an experience of everyday life. So oftentimes, especially if we're doing one-on-one sessions, or even if they're in a workshop or seminar, with us. There's such distillations of truth that are experienced that are so undeniable that you actually feel it in your body. And it's, oh, there I am. And so all of the stories that we create about ourselves, that generates that experience of either health or sickness. But there's this other depth to the R that is playing all of that out. And when we get to that, it's almost like a reset. And from that place, people can see, this is how I've been seeing the world. And it's not necessarily what I need to continue to see. So the shift can be quite quick.
Feel what I'm getting from that, Rebecca, is, I mean, the easy answer to Tony's question, I feel, would be presence, right? So if you're, what can I do? You know, I'm battling this scary disease or scary situation. What can I do? I mean, things are bad. It's like, but in this present moment, like capturing the moment. But you're telling us to not only, you know, be here present, like, oh, I'm, you know, still breathing and I've got love for my friends and family. I feel like you're helping us anchor it even deeper than that.
Deeper. Yes, because when you start from there, you begin to see everything in a different way. And I think for so many people who are experiencing cancer, for example, or a lot of other,
There's a lot more.
I mean, and all of the emotional experiences people are having, and all of the mental challenges people are having. Every difficulty that we're having is inviting us to go back in deep. Because if you think about it, the only way that we really go there with who we really are, or the consciousness within, or source, or the great I am, however you say it, we do it through a point of discomfort, crisis.
Yeah.
And so it's that, hey, we need to go back with that. And if you begin to see that as the invitation, then your discomfort or disease is now an invitation to go deeper rather than a problem to be solved.
Because I've heard many people say their disease will change their life for the better, which I think if you look at it that way, because sometimes it's just a wake-up call to change your life or to move to a different mindset. So, yeah, I guess if you think of it that way, it can.
Opportunity in illness. Yeah.
Because we're always looking outwards. So when we're always forwards, we're always, where can I go in life? And directionality takes us out there, which is away from our source of energy and vitality. So the discomfort makes us get into.
I love this. I would like to ask, talking about reality, or the different dimensions. So you mentioned 5D and finding that maybe, you know, that you've been tracking with this awareness of the change on our planet for a while.
Right.
So where are we at right now? How do you
Pull the paper.
It's amazing with the shift. Yeah, it's amazing because after doing years of, you know, monthly, okay, this is what the energies are doing. This is the symptoms in the body, and also tracking the energy field and what's happening within the body. We used to map it out over the years, week by week, actually, because it was changed. As I said, like, sure. And now it's really so much vibrational shift has occurred. Now we're focusing on how do we get people's thought constructs, how do we get people's view of life to now align that. So our work has shifted now from mapping the changes to now assisting people generate new constructs of belief that now accommodate where they actually are. Because so many people now have shifted, but my life doesn't feel the same or look the same. I don't know what to do or where to go or who I am. So now it's the reconstruction of that. Yeah, so many ways, you know, the shift has happened actually in our view.
I mean, I feel like I have one foot in either world.
Yes.
Right? There's this reality of microphones and lights and, you know, me sitting next to you, but there's a whole nother energy. There's a whole nother frequency that we're playing with at the same time. And I like how you distill it to getting to our thought.
Yes.
Our thoughts, our thought patterns. So we just talked about the, you know, medical, physical. So now we're working on our thoughts, beliefs. It's our word in that.
Beliefs. It's amazing, really, because I think if you can relax into a realization that actually the shift's already happened, I don't need to try to ascend. I don't need to strive to become more. That's happened. Now, how do I adjust how I see the world to match how I feel? And I think that's where so many people, especially at this expo, are. They feel, that optimism, and they feel like expansion is happening, but they look out into the world, perhaps through media or what they see outside, and it doesn't match what they feel. So that's where we generate new constructs of belief to match it.
It's incredibly confusing. I had a guest on back in November, and we were talking about being. His encouragement. His name is Josh Reckman. His encouragement is we are called to be a mast in the storm. And I feel that tools. I'm always, for my show, I always like to talk about the tools for transformation. I think you are offering that. So you're a channel, and we can listen and experience messages from you and the energy that you bring through. We hope that you'll do some of that for us if you keep listening. But I'm going to ask the question: what can a person that doesn't know how to do channeling or doesn't feel like these messages are coming through? What can the layman do?
Well, as a channeler of 30 years, my belief around channeling has had to shift to match where the energy is. So one thing I always say to people is, in the beginning when I first started channeling, I used to feel like I had to really heighten my vibration and something, beyond was coming into my body. And that's certainly how I experienced it, because that matched my beliefs about what to like was. And over the years, I've come to a different view where we're all one and we're all connected, but that happens within. So almost like a cosmic tree, and your identity's on the branch. And you have to relax back into the tree, and then you can access another branch, which is how I experience channeling.
That's great.
So whether that be in the state of how I do channeling, which a lot of people would say is, more like trance channeling, except it's not, because I'm conscious the whole way through. You can simply just relax into your body, and then something new can emerge. And that's where people talk about downloads. I use the word uploads. And instead of ascension, I talk about, descension, because we're deepening ourselves into the one, and then exhaling with a new pearl of wisdom. And everyone has this capacity, because we're all connected to source within. So the number one thing, to answer your question, I would say to people is, instead of trying, just relax. Relax into your body. All the wisdom's there, and then see what arises as inspiration.
Because I think as somebody that's diagnosed with ADD, which I now, as an adult, that was diagnosed at 22. Now as an adult, it's just thinking differently. I don't really see it as a disability, but thinking differently. But when I try to do meditation, go deeper, I start to question, like, am I doing this right? Should I think this way? Should I, have these tingles or thoughts? And I think what you're saying is, don't try to let those thoughts overpower the work.
Well, I'm not a dissimilar mind to you. It works. And so for me, it was really just relax.
Yeah.
And actually just focus on, how's my body feel right now?
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things to do is lean back, because we naturally with our minds want to lean forward.
Yeah.
So I see myself as a pollen, actually. Just lean back. And when you do that, you can feel your awareness going into the back of your head and the back of your brain. And that's what happens for me when I start to move into that wisdom state. But I love the way you brought that up about ADD, because one of the very first seminars we ever did publicly was about that.
Oh, really?
Years ago. And the masters were saying that that's the way of thought, that's how that thought's going to happen in 5D. And so many people that already think that way now are wired for multidimensionality, because they have the ability to move from that to that, to that, to that, to that, to that. But because we've been living in a society that wants us to be consistent and follow through in each direction, it can seem like that's not okay. But we're putting point of reference there, point of reference there, point of reference there. And soon all of those points make a new map something that you've created. So, if your mind's working like that, you are a master creator.
Ooh, did you hear that? All right. No, I actually work better with multiple stimulations. If it's like some people are like this, they need to focus, and that's the only thing. With me, my mind races going, this is too much. I can't do it. I need a TV on. I need somebody talking to me and read a book at the same time. And then I understand. But if I read it without anything on, it's like words just jumble out. Yeah. And so I thank you for putting
Oh,
that.
wired for multidimensionalities. Ready, set up for the energy of the next
Get a t-shirt made. Becca said, well, one thing that you talked about the tree branches. One thing that I have interviewed many people about ancestral work. Have you talked about past lives or ancestral work where bringing in your ancestors to heal the present? Have you ever done that type of work?
Well, we have per se, but let's expand that out, how we would do that. Because a lot of people at the moment are experiencing a lot of different things. So there's a trauma, but it might not be me, it might be from someone else. And we could keep expanding that out until it's collective. There's a collective human consciousness. So when we look into generational trauma, that can be a wonderful view for where we sit with our offerings. That's a linear line, and we tend to move out into a more spherical or multi-directional sphere. So we would talk about, put it in context as, well, what aspect of the multidimensional self is experienced? Because we know that everything happens all in the same mode, simultaneous. And as our vibration on the planet's increasing, we are experiencing simultaneous experiences of ourselves all the time. And we can say, well, we don't have a belief for this yet. So this could be generational trauma. This could be something picking up from the collective field. But there is such a gathering of all of our aspects that's happening right now to increase the consciousness on the planet. There's more of us here than ever before. And it can cause confusion because the mind's trying to assign it to something. But it's a flooding of consciousness. So that's what's happening. So that's how we approach it.
I like that we just throw out anything to her. She's like answers it like
Eloquently.
The takeaway, just relax. Just from the soul. Because it's like, oh, it's just that aspect. Well, I don't have to go in there and necessarily own that and work with it, play with it. You can if you want to. That's part of the opportunity. Yeah. Right. Or you can just say, oh, that showed up today. I wonder what's going to show up.
Right.
As a human mind, as children or teenagers, we're, going through a lot of learning, a lot of trauma, just because, we're picking up a lot of trauma that was not even ours. Have you worked with younger children or teenagers, and do you have like an age that you feel would benefit them better? Because coming at somebody at 21, like myself, no, I'm just kidding. At 55, like myself, that's 55 years of trauma, trauma and all that stuff. Is there an age that you feel that this would benefit even more, like younger age?
Well, we have introduced some things into school.
Oh, wow, that's great.
In Australia, not in the US, only recently here. But that's really about giving children the ability to, first of all, identify what is the energy that I can feel in the room or this person, and give them a language to be able to do that, because children don't really have necessarily the language to describe that. And then what is happening within myself, and we give them a language to describe that, and what would I like to be experiencing? And then give them some skills to be able to do that. Yeah. So it's really, because this is the thing with children. They come in, especially, really beautiful, expanded souls that they are. They come into this world that's shifting into multidimensionality and so much more.
Yeah.
And they're already in tune with the collective field. How do they tell the difference between what's going on and what's going on within? And so to give them the skills is to be able to distinguish between their own vibration and what's happening is the beginning to sovereignty.
The sovereignty. I love that. Yes.
Right. And at that age, I mean, I think we're kind of talking perhaps teenager years, right?
That
That's
started as young as 5.
fine. That's right. But you start relating to other people, right? So that's, you forget.
Yeah.
Because you want to belong. That's really helpful.
You know, that kid over there is not in a good space and they're being me. And so I'm feeling this.
Right. And it's not about you. Maybe they're being mean because they're at home things right now.
Sure, whatever.
Yeah. So, but what am I really feeling? Can I feel myself in there? And now, how do I want to feel? And in that way, too, they're actually able to change the energy in that environment.
Because when I was a kid, I was definitely an empath. I realize that now, that I took on a lot. You know, father, mother, and even kids that were getting bullied. I was always feeling their pain, so I didn't know what that pain was. So I think, you know, take it upon yourself and stuff it down deep, because you're like, I don't know what to do with this pain. I don't know what to do with this feelings. So I think this would benefit. That would have benefited someone like myself.
Yeah, and me.
Hey, yeah, and you, right? Well, tell us, you know, this is probably going to air after, but you have a workshop today at noon.
I do.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you're going to be talking about?
I would love to. I mean, I was asked to do a PowerPoint and, you know, but because I'm a channeler, we just turn up and we just create a conversation. So it will be whatever the masters want to speak about. And then people will have the opportunity to ask questions. We always feel that whoever's in the room vibrationally unlocks a certain wisdom, and then they create it with us. So on people will want to discuss and how it flows.
And
It's all spontaneous.
I don't want to be too personal, but who are the masters to you?
Oh, no, that's okay. So, when they first started coming through, they called themselves certain things because people asked the question, "Who are you?" And that was Saint Germain, Serapis Bey, and Kasumi. So they're 3 masters. And they used to come and visit me when I was a child, actually. I used to have 3 beings in white, hooded cloaks next to my bed quite often in the night. And I didn't know what that was. And it wasn't until some years later that I realized that that's who it was.
Did you figure out? I mean, I know Saint Germain. I don't know the others, but did you somehow come to some learning of who the others were, or did they tell you?
It was really it was a combination of things. Firstly, it was questions that people would ask when I first started, but also I had a lot of what you would call past life memories about certain lives. And once people started to ask these questions of who these masters were, and then people would send me things. Oh, this is all the history of this person and the lives that they had. It was very confusing for me because they were the past life memories that I had. And I couldn't really understand that at the time. And it wasn't until my understanding evolved into multiple aspects of self that I now realize that they're aspects of me and I'm aspects of them. I mean, we're all one. But because that now makes sense. Why do I remember that life if that was somebody else's life? You know, but I wouldn't say I am the master because I am presenting as the aspect of Rebecca.
Yeah, I like how you do present them as the masters.
Yeah, it helps people to understand.
Yeah, and I think it's more inviting too.
And we really want to emphasize the human value in the experience because humanity is the embodiment of wisdom. So we tend to see humans as less than. And so they were very deliberate with me right from the start. No, you're going to just be Rebecca Dawson and very human because we want humanity to really start to own this for themselves.
Have anything else to ask our amazing guest?
Well, I would like to ask if the masters feel like saying anything to the Truth Be Told audience.
Sure. Well, we'll see what they want to say today. Greetings, here we are with you. This extraordinary gathering is not even a gathering of minds. It is a gathering of hearts. It is a gathering of resonance because everyone that you will see in this experience is looking for something. And what are they looking for? Some may be looking for success. Some may be looking for brotherhood. Some may be looking for stimulation. Some for answers. But in essence, they are all looking to feel more of themselves. And humans have come to experience that when they see something beyond themselves that looks stimulating or interesting or resonant in some way, I belong to that, perhaps. And yet, the greatest yearning is to experience the essence of your vibration. So every being that is here is yearning to feel more. Which great. When you are here and you are exploring topics, you are feeling your own ignition. Agree? That's why you do it. You are experiencing more of yourself. So we invite all humans to claim their experience for their own amplification. You may be feeling many energies in this space, but focus on yours. Focus on bringing your vibration to this space because your evolution is the most important evolution. It's beautiful. Do you have a question in this one?
Is there anything that Bonnie and Tony can be doing through the blessings of the media outlet that we have to better help changes on our planet?
What we have just suggested is very important to you because both of you have moments where you feel fatigued, where you feel perhaps, should we change what we are doing? When you feel perhaps maybe there is something else. And yet what we say to you is if you continue to focus on, is this interesting to me? Then all that engage with you will feel that stimulation also. Seek not to focus on what you believe people want or need, but rather what ignites you. Because when others are engaging with you, they are feeling that enthusiasm. Life. Yes?
Yes.
You are not here to provide answers. You are here to keep the joy of the mystery alive.
Oh my God, goosebumps.
Yes?
So I feel emotional. Yeah, I feel emotional around that. Thank you so much.
You are the most important in your experience. And that will allow you to be incredibly magnified in your expressions. Yes?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. It is our great joy to be with you. Thank you for joining us. Peace be with you.
Peace be with you. I mean, I really felt, from the moment you started, I felt the energy. I really did. It was tingly and it was great. And would love to see where you're at the end of the day after talking to so many people. Cause really what you said is the coming together and people are really just, I don't know if this is applicable, but I'm going to try. Ram Dass says, we're all just walking each other home. And I thought about that when you said that, because is that something?
I'm just looking at Alex over there because I never do this. And I woke up this morning, I said, I just feel like I need to listen to something. And we listened to a short Ram Dass.
Namaste.
They have spoken.
Oh my gosh. But do you know what I mean? And I think about what that means. And it's the home of us. And it's really great. I'm going to go back and listen to what you said. I'm going to be listening to this channel again and taking that in. I feel like there's so much, as well as this whole entire conversation, Rebecca. It's such a pleasure to meet you. And I wish you a very, vibrant and vivacious Conscious Life Expo. And I heard a rumor that you might be moving to Los Angeles. So I hope you'll come to the Truth Be Told Studios in Burbank and see us there sometime too.
We'll be moving to Santa Barbara shortly.
That, or we'll just come to you.
It's pretty.
It
So it's pretty.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And are you going to be speaking anywhere besides Conscious Life Expo in the future?
Well, I've always got seminars and workshops going on. Most of them are online, so you can find all of those through my website, which is just my name, RebeccaDawson.com. And there'll be various retreats and speaker events throughout the year.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, everybody. This was great having the amazing Rebecca Dawson from Australia, soon to be Santa Barbara, on our show. So please make sure you subscribe, follow, and watch Truth Be Told on Fridays at 3.
And Wednesdays at 3.
And we have Robert Hensley doing his Truth Be Told, Going Wild, Rewilding, Getting Back to Nature. So, and that's on Mondays at 3. So until next time, I'm Tony Sweet with Bonnie Burkert and Rebecca Dawson here at Conscious Life Expo 2025. Take care, guys.